rising up. And that's the truth about us. As he's singing that song, and as all the artists have come forward, including Pluto, we're talking about rising up. There's something within us that can't be squelched, something that can't be inhibited, something that can't be blocked forever, something that can't be hindered. It's our real nature, our real being. It's the luminosity of our own soul, the brilliance, the brightness, the light that lights up every man and woman that comes into the world, the same light that was found in Jesus the Christ, the same light that illuminated Gautama the Buddha, the Kuan Yin, the same light that illuminates us all and becomes brighter and brighter and brighter as we up-level our wattage to be able to hold more of the cosmic energy. And then we rise. And like the grass growing through the cement, we grow through whatever circumstance and situations. We grow through whatever seems to be inhibiting us as we embrace it. And here at Agape, we're seeking to embrace it consciously, not merely to have accidental alignments from time to time where we wonder what we did right at that particular time to allow the grace notes to flow through our life. We create circumstances and situations here, conditions, I should say, that allow us to have perfect spiritual practice so that alignment becomes more and more regular and the grace notes of the Spirit begin to override the ways by which we become adversaries to our own self. And we begin to shine and glow, heal, and allow for who and what we are to reveal itself. Oftentimes a shock and a surprise to our personality, a shock and surprise to who we think we are, that we're really that brilliant, really that glowing, really that powerful, because we are. And though we may have inhibited ourselves through identifying ourselves with lack and limitation, identifying ourselves with present conditions or circumstances or past conditions and circumstances, there is something within us that is singing, just as Tyler was singing, I'll rise. I'll rise and I'll rise. So we participate in that through coming to an understanding of what we mean and what we have meant this month, as this particular theme has been supreme interest, amazing dividends to behold. And we've embraced this idea of supreme interest, that is garnering our attention and establishing as a priority a conscious connection with the presence of God, a priority, awakening into the glorious nature of our own being, conscious priority, coming into a state of mental sobriety, which is called enlightenment, and coming to an understanding that enlightenment and sanity mean the same thing. As the mind becomes sober and we become sane, that is no longer fighting against ourselves, no longer being our worst adversary in terms of inhibiting the power and the presence and the love of God flowing through us, no longer demeaning ourselves by thinking we're unworthy, that we're worthless, that we're just a little low accidental thing that just happened. No, we didn't just happen, we happened just according to love and law of the universe, you see? And so as we enter into the space of having a supreme interest, our number one priority on a daily basis is to connect consciously, that is, with the presence of God, because we're always connected, and to become aware that there's latent potential within us that is seeking to be activated, so that month after month, year after year, we discover that there's more and more potential that's become actualized in our life. That we don't want to be on the hamster wheel of life, running really, really, really fast as an ambitious person, only to discover at the end of all that running, we are the same person. And we've gone through all these experiences, but we're the same person that we started out with. No, we want to become more, as I'm long to say, more and never less than our true self. Supreme interest allows that. It leads us to a level of practice on a daily basis so that we become absolutely available to the onrush of the Spirit, the broadcast emanating from the mind heart of the Most High, and catching that broadcast and rebroadcasting it according to our unique pattern. The antennas become absolutely acute with receptivity because the static is no longer on the line, the static of distraction. This supreme interest carries us beyond the distractions of the world, because the phenomenal world is full of distractions. I did not say full of negativity. I didn't label anything good or bad. I just said the world is full of distractions. There's so many things that can distract us from our first priority, which is conscious connection and the activation of potential. And we must come to an understanding, finally, that which we see in the phenomenal world is actually called the past. That which you see with your eyes is an artifact of previously held points of view, previously held opinions, previously held positionalities and perspectives. And when it is collectively agreed upon, it becomes a collective experience. But that is the past. And then people are doomed, particularly like social scientists and things of that particular nature, they're doomed to go into the past and try to navigate and find some kind of healing balm in it. But there's no permanent healing in that. The permanent healing comes from a revelation that happens from the eternal, not from time. So what we see is the past. And one of the levels of hell that one can experience, and of course we don't believe in a God that dooms anyone to an eternal damnation or a hellish existence forever. Hell is really what is called stagnation. And one of the hellish spaces that individuals can live in is called being dimensionally challenged. That is living only in 3 dimensions, only what you can taste and smell and hear and touch. And you know, that's a condition that many people live under. It's called being a materially minded individual. I only believe in what I can see. You see? That's called a dimension of hell. Dimensionally challenged. We are multi-dimensional beings. And what we can't see or hear with the eyes does exist. Get on a biofeedback machine, and you will see the oscillation of thought forms before they even manifest as a physicality. You can see it with the instruments, that which you can't see with your eyes. And so those who are on the spiritual path are aware that the infinite invisible that's indivisible from us ultimately is more real than what you can see and taste and touch and hear and smell. We no longer are dimensionally challenged. We live in the full vibrational frequency of the invisible presence, invisible to the senses, invisible presence that becomes active in us, so that we're able to ultimately release the static from the mind, move in the realm of time and space, but bring the eternal into time. This is what prayer warriors are doing. Not prayer warriors, prayer warriors. This is what they're doing. This is what urban shaman are doing. They're moving from this dimension into a higher frequency, catching an idea, and then bring it into time for the community. This is what great composers are doing. They're going into the frequency where the music of the spheres exists, catching the tune, catching the melody, catching the lyric, bring it into time so we can hear and dance to it. This is what the great architects do. They go into the other realm and catch an architectural design that embraces the spirit and expands the soul, brings it into time and space. This is what the increasing modalities of energetic healing is all about. The individuals that are heaven bound to really heal individuals and not just treat symptoms, go into another realm and catch the instrumentalities and the ideas that help and heal individuals, bring it into time and space for the fuller development of our individual and collective soul. These individuals, these scientists, these composers, these innovators, these inventors are not dimensionally challenged. They, like Einstein and George Washington Carver and others, go into the other realm, catch an idea, and bring it into time. You who are now increasingly becoming aware that if your interest is absolutely pure, if your eye is single, your body shall be full of light. Luminosity will be your identity. Light is your identity. The light that lights up every man and every woman that comes into the world. But it must become the priority so that you can transcend the distractions and then step into the dividends that are countless and amazing. You'll begin to notice one of the dividends, of course, as we mentioned last week, you'll begin to see beyond the veil. You begin to see behind the scenes that there's something going on. There's a harmony, there's a wholeness, there's a progressive universe unfolding. There is something happening that's not in any way touched by time. As the Bhagavad Gita reminds us that fire burns it not, water wets it not, wind blows it not away. When you name it, you can't find it, and when you find it, you can't name it. You'll begin to be privy to this infinite invisible, and then you'll learn to lean on it. And then it will begin to guide and direct and protect and maintain and sustain you. Many people who are dimensionally challenged don't have access to this. And they live by their wits. They live by their ambition. They live by what they can manipulate with their hands. And that's a tiring existence. For even if you get what you think you want, oftentimes it doesn't come with the dynamic peace of mind that passes human understanding, and you live in fear that you may lose it. Truly, supreme interest brings about that dividend. It also brings a great dividend of the scriptural reference that states in the substance that ye shall be given back the years that the locusts have eaten. Meaning, in time and in space, the mistakes you think you may have made, the missteps you think you may have made, the conversations you wish you hadn't had or did have, all of that seems to be blocking you in time, in truth, you're given back the years that the locusts have eaten. That means that the eternal within you hasn't been touched. And when you have an insight into it, whoa! It comes into your awareness, and you have a great homecoming, a great, woo, nothing's been lost. Woo, I'm starting over. Woo, behold, I make all things new, screams from the depth of your being. And you realize that you have not lost anything substantial or real, because it's all been in you, waiting for you to discover it. These are the great dividends that begin to unfold. And then, as the topic would indicate, this interest plus investment equals transformation. Interest plus investment equals transformation. And so when we speak about transformation, we're not speaking about a palliative surface change. It is not the caterpillar just going to a different tree. It is the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. It is not you just having a geographical change in your life. Oh, things aren't going well, I'm going to move somewhere else, or something to that effect. No, it means that there's something within you that's been brooding to be expressed, that begins to be active in you. And you begin to see with new eyes. You begin to see life differently. You become, as it states in the scripture, you become a new creature in Christ. The activation of the Christ potential becomes so real to you. Something shifts. There's a great transformation. You're not who you used to be. And you live in this continual state of, I'm not who I used to be, but I'm not who I'm going to be. There's a constant unfolding from the radical tension of being and becoming. I love my present. I love who I am, but there's more of me that's going to be expressed, you see? And you'll say to individuals, I'm better than yesterday, but I'm not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow. That lives in your dynamic, you see. That lives in your dynamic. That's the dynamic of which you live. And this is the frequency of real transformation. I was sharing in the earlier service a transformational story. I can remember this is previous to the founding of Agape International, I would go up to Big Bear and spend time in meditation. And I would go alone, and there would be moments of just pure rapture and connection. And at this time, I wasn't quite certain of my destiny of being a public person. I was very private, had a lot of solitude within me, and I was into meditation, and I'd had private conversations with people that people would be healed of things and things of that particular nature. But I was up at Big Bear meditating, and I remember this. I was sitting in the chair, but I had taken the chair outside, and I was outside meditating, and this scroll rolled out of the sky. And the scroll said, Michael Beckwith to speak, and it listed this church, this spiritual community. And then the scroll rolled up and disappeared. And I wrote about it in my journal, and I thought that was cute. It was sweet. It was wonderful, you know. And then when I went home, the phone rang, and it was a gentleman by the name of Bill calling me, and he said, we want you to come speak at our church. We presently don't have a minister, and we thought you'd be the perfect individual to come forward. And I remember blurting out, oh, sorry, I know, I saw it on the scroll. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, oh, nothing. Continue. And he began to invite me to speak at his church. And I said, well, why are you inviting me? I'm not a minister. I'm not a practitioner. Why do I get this invitation? He said, well, we met you at the Asilomar conference. We really appreciated some of the things you had to share. Appreciated your energy, your vibration, and we thought you'd be the perfect person to speak to our community. And I said, okay, I'll come. And when I hung up the phone, I got really, really nervous. I mean, I didn't know what I'd gotten myself into. I had never spoken publicly before as an adult like this, particularly about God, you know, or anything like that. Everything was always private. I had a private love affair with the presence, except for the few people around me that knew that something had happened with me. And I wanted to call him back, and I wanted to make an excuse. I wanted to tell him, on that particular day, I think I'm going to have the flu. I'm sure I'm going to be sick that day. I was trying to figure out some way to get out of this particular experience, and I couldn't. I laid down on my couch. I see it now. It's green. And I had an individual by the name of Duval Lewis, who's passed over now, and I'm the godfather to his daughter, Issa, and his son, Kadar. And he had painted this big orange thing on my wall, and it was like very cosmic, and I can see it all now. And so I laid down on my couch, and I took off. I flew. I left my body, and I was flying. And as I was flying, the confidence and the intelligence and everything was just flowing through me, and I could see Michael laying on the couch. And then the next moment, I was back in the body, and I was nervous. Oh, my God, what did I get myself into? I got to get myself out of this. I can't go speak to anybody about anything. And then I was out of the body again, and I was flying. And I looked back, and I said, damn, Michael, he gets so nervous. Doesn't he understand yet that? And I remember the moment I said the word that, I was back in the body again, and I was nervous. Subsequently, I fly to Tacoma, Washington, a few weeks later to do the talk. Had some powerful experiences there in the airport. And, I spoke. This energy flowed through me. It was very powerful. People were healed in the audience. It was like people were crying. It was a very deep experience, not for them, but for me, too. And I became aware there was something else going on with me. And so fast forward now, at least 10 years, at least. And maybe a little longer. And it's the second year of Agape. And I remember this. I'm sitting in my office in Santa Monica, and there was something that was concerning me. And so I do what I do. I went into meditation first. And as I went into meditation, I split, and I could see Michael sitting in meditation. And I remember saying, oh, he doesn't have anything to be concerned about. I'm with him. I'm with him. And then I came back. And then whatever it was that was concerning me, I had the answer to it, and everything worked out. The difference between those two particular experiences is that experience number one, when I was on the couch, I was more identified. My identity was more, I was more identified with the guy on the couch, less identified with the guy that was flying. It was like that guy was channeling through me. And then later on, when I'm looking at Michael, I became more identified with the guy here looking at Michael. There was a merge that took place. There was integration. There was some transformation that took place. Not merely on the surface, but things shifted within me to allow for a greater access of the Spirit of the living God, our higher self, to express through. So when we speak of transformation, we're talking about being new. We're not talking about just learning skills to change things in this particular dimension. We don't put down those skills at all. I'm just saying transformation is you actually become a new creature in Christ. You're a different being. You see differently. Something happens within you. So interest, I had supreme interest and still do. Plus investment equals transformation, you see. And so we must continue to have an investment. Now, people sometimes say, can we have a class with advanced teachings? And I am putting together some classes. But I generally say beginning class is theory, advanced class is practice. That once you move into practice, that's the advanced class, because no one can make up spiritual principles. You can't make those up, but you can find different ways of practicing the principles so that they become embodied within you, so that you're living in a higher frequency based on your spiritual practice. So that's an investment. Interest plus investment equals transformation. So the first thing you have to do, we have to all do, continue to do, is invest our time. Our time. Now, there's 24 hours in a day if you measure it, linearly, and you're sleeping 6 to 8 hours of that particular time, and you can even use that time once you become conscious in your dreams. But other than that, you want to begin to look at your time and see how much time you are investing in your spiritual practice. How much time are you investing in your study? How much time are you investing in prayer? How much time are you investing in meditation? How much time are you investing in just staying conscious and not falling prey to worry and doubt and fear and resentment and animosity and negativity and unforgiveness and gossip and all those things? You have to invest your time in what you are really interested in. Many people are really invested in being right. They have a strong investment in being right. Many people are invested in making people think they are smart. Many people are invested in so many ways that are allowing the ego to kind of run the show. You want to be invested in waking up. You want to be invested in expanding your consciousness. You want to be invested in taking care of the body temple, the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. You want to invest. You see, investment pays dividends. You want to, then as you are investing your time, you want to invest your money. You become very interested where you put your money, you see. And so this is why, we have classes, and the classes absolutely cost money. Why? Because you pay attention when you pay. When you pay, you show up. If it's free, I might show up. You pay, and yes, we have scholarship programs. Yes, we don't deny people. Yes. But when you pay, when you invest, there's something that happens to your attention that leads to transformation. You can tell people over a period of years who come to Agape, and you can tell people who have been taking classes, there's a radical difference. There's a greater sense of embodiment. People know how to pray. People know how to meditate. They have a certain way of dealing with their worries, their doubts, and their fears, and that allow them to create a level of coherence and to stay out of the worry field and to go quicker into an awareness that everything is unfolding perfectly, rightly, and well. You see? There's a leaning into this. So we learn to invest our time. We learn to invest our money. We learn to invest conversations. I was sharing earlier that when I was doing workshops years ago, I used to ask people to take tape recorders. Remember those tape recorders you used to have? You put a little disc in there, a little tape, what do you call it? Cassette. And I would say, carry your tape recorder around with you and just start taping your conversations, even if you're by yourself, if you talk out loud or with people, and just see how much of the conversation is uplifting, enlightening, affirmatory, or how much of the conversation is self-loathing, how much of the conversation is criticism, worry, fear, gossip, etc. And begin to notice without guilt, without judgment, where are you tipping the needle? Have you finally gone into at least 50.1% of your conversations being life-affirming, being inspirational, being progressive, being visionary? You see, you have to invest in that, you see. And then you have to invest in yourself. Now, I was sharing earlier when I was speaking about learning to lean on this presence. It becomes so real. I was sharing a story, but another story came into my mind. I was sharing a story on leaning into this presence, and I was remembering a trip to Africa. I think we were in Ghana, but it may not. It may have been in another country because we went to Africa every year pre-COVID, and me and Nirvana, had gotten away from the group for a while, and we were exploring some things in the marketplace, and we'd gotten away from the group, and when we came out, the bus was gone. We had been left. Everybody was gone, and we were the only ones of our group left. And so we said to ourselves, well, we're going to make it home. We're going to end up being in the United States. Everything's going to be okay. So we just hung out in that vibration and continued to, I'm leading the trip, okay? we hang out and do some other things. And then about 40 minutes later, the bus comes rolling back to get us. Joe Katie came out and said, get in here, get into this bus. Where you guys been? But the point being, we didn't go into deep worry about it. We just went into the awareness of, well, we know we're going to be home. We know everything's going to be okay. We might as well just live in this space rather than, oh, my God, they left us. How are we going to get to the next town? Blah, 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 blah. I'm saying in substance that when, in fact, you carry a deep and an abiding investment and you come into a greater awareness of this presence, you start to lean into another space. The example I used in the earlier service was I used to have this BMW. It was a BMW 1600 classic. We called them classics, but it was old. Okay, and I'm coming home from downtown. I used to work for Mayor Tom Bradley, and I'm coming home. Rush hour traffic, and I said earlier, it's actually slow hour traffic. I don't know why they call it rush hour traffic. It's oxymoron because nobody's moving. You see, it's slow hour traffic. And my car stops working. And I try to start it, it doesn't start. And then after a while, inevitably, people are blowing their horns, calling me names, talking about my mother. They don't know my mother, just all kinds of names. And get that trash out of the way, just everything. And I'm hearing all this. And so I take my attention and I say, what am I going to be doing tonight? And I'm a bather. I like to bathe. I get good ideas when I'm in the bathtub. And I said, I know what I'm going to be doing this evening. I'm going to be in my bathtub. I'm going to have my incense. I'm going to have my candle. And I'm going to have my music. And I'm going to be sitting there just bathing. So I went there in consciousness. That became real to me. I leaned into that awareness. And I got a level of coherence. I didn't hear the horns anymore, people calling me names, being mad and upset that I was blocking traffic. And then I went to start the car, and it started up. Boom! And I drove the car home, and then next week I sold it, by the way. I wasn't going to test the spirit. But the point being, I just leaned into something that I knew everything was going to be okay. And that became the predominant feeling tone. This is what happens, you see, as we begin to take stock of ourselves. And the dividend is that there's something behind the scene that we can begin to lean on. It begins to be very real. And that last investment, there are way more investments. I'm talking about good investments. But ultimately, you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll share this particular story. I had this tremendous opening, and shifted my life forever. Ramifications, are why we're here today. And I was reading a lot of sacred texts and studying the mysticism of different cultures. I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Dhammapada, the Bible, the teachings of Jesus, Walter Russell, Emanuel Swedenborg, George Washington Carver, and I'm learning. I was trying to see what had happened to me, and I become aware that the mystical lineage was everywhere in the world, basically explained by different cultures, different ways based on the history and based on the year that it was being articulated. Anyway, I'm reading in the Upanishads, and I start reading about the Atman presence. And then there was a word, Param Atman. And these words literally lit up in the book. They glowed in the book. And I changed my name to Param Atman. That was my name for a couple of years. I wrote under that name. I journaled under that name. We had a little magazine and a little newspaper. And I was writing under that name. And then I had this insight. I had this insight that Michael wasn't being tended to. That I was hanging out in these very high states of awareness, but I wasn't tending to the incarnation called Michael Beckwith. And when that hit me, I went back to Michael. So I'd gone from Michael to Paramatman, back to Michael, and I began to work on Michael. I began to go deep into his fears, his worries, his doubts, things that he was holding, things that he may have brought with him from previous incarnation. I began to deal with him psychologically, mentally, emotionally. I turned my garage into the spiritual workplace. I put mattresses up against the wall so it was soundproof. And I began to do all kinds of mirror work, began to do all kinds of different kind of journal work. I began to do all kinds of work to begin to embrace the inner authority within me. I began to embrace, the love ethic, the self-love and appreciation, places in which Michael didn't love himself, places in which Michael was not receptive to the good in his life. All of this stuff that, even though I was in these high states, I had to get Michael together so that he, in this incarnation, could hold those frequencies, those vibrations, without denying them, but allowing them to be integrated into this particular incarnation. I had to work on myself. I had to invest in myself, you see, so there wouldn't be any bypassing of the issues that were there psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, in the nervous system. You understand? And so where there is investment, then there is transformation. So then, obviously, when I get the call to speak, or when things of that particular nature, more and more integration, more and more integration, more and more integration, until that which I used to call a high became a baseline of consciousness that I could hold. Now remember what we say about agape. You don't come to agape necessarily to get high. You come to agape to get free. In the beginning, you will get high. You get like, woo, 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 woo. Wow, I feel good. It was good. But you have to stabilize that. And you stabilize that by how you invest your time, how you invest your money, how you invest in the conversations that you're having, how you invest in yourself, you see. And you can look at, what you buy. Are you going to buy that fast food for the body temple when you know that the body is a carrier of light? Or are you going to invest in something that's more wholesome, that's going to give you more energy, not just a quick fix from some sugar, but are you going to invest in something that's going to allow for the sinew and the muscles and the bones to become stronger, so that those tuning fork called the bones can carry the cosmic energy? What are you going to do? You learn how to invest, you see. And I'm not a killjoy saying you don't have fun in this world. The world is full of love and peace and joy and harmony and wonderful adventures, but you learn to invest your time. You invest your money. You invest in the conversations that you're having. Sometimes it's best to remain silent sometimes when people are spewing negativity, particularly about other people trying to get you to buy in. You invest in yourself, you see. And when this occurs, transformation happens. Remember, interest plus investment equals transformation. You are here not to be conformed to the world, but to be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Woo, what a life. And then what do you get? Woo-hoo. You get a peace that passes human understanding. For real. You get a joy. I call it sometimes, you walk in the world almost as if you have a secret. You're not denying there's some stuff that needs transformation on the planet and in our own country. There's some stuff, that still needs to be worked out in so many ways. But you walk with an awareness like you've seen something, because you have. You've seen something. I cannot unsee what I've seen. I've seen the luminosity on inanimate and inanimate objects. I've seen the light. I was embraced by it. I've seen it. I see it. You see, I can't unsee all of that. I can't unsee the fundamental order and the harmony of the universe. I can't unsee it. You walk as if you have a secret, and there's a buoyancy. There's a joy. There's a love there, you see. And it allows you to find your dharma, find your reason for your incarnation, and to do your work play on the planet, to make a mighty difference on the planet. Transformation. We hearken back to the reading that Reverend Jason gave us in talking about the reconciliation, in talking about the deep conversations that are necessary, in talking about the inner work that is necessary to create a kind and loving and just global society for people of color, you see? And I would dare say, people that have other sexual orientations and things of that particular nature. And there must be a continued starting and a continued conversation on that level, the same way that he mentioned in the writing that Germany did when they embraced the Holocaust and finally did not stop denying that it happened and killed millions of people, so that as a country it could forgive and ask for amends. And the same way that in Rwanda, after that genocide, people could confess and then make amends, in the same way that Nelson Mandela brought South Africa to a powerful place of this is what happened, years of apartheid, years of killing and death and oppression, and so that the country could take a deep sigh and people could make amends, forgive themselves, and people could forgive the oppressor, and that there must be in our own country no longer a denial of that which has happened historically when the first first Africans came here free and were way here before any Europeans, but when the Africans that came in chains and the years of slavery, that many people forget. That's where the wealth of America came from. That's where the wealth of Great Britain came from. It came from free labor, you see? Labor that was stolen, you see? It's not even in your history books. It didn't come from people's ingenuity. It came from free labor. Just imagine for a moment, you got a job. You have a business. You don't have to pay anybody. Yeah, you're going to get rich, okay? Well, I don't have to pay. I got 100 workers, but I'm not paying them anything, you see? Now, listen. And then we have the whole great emancipator that freed the Africans, you see, those who had come from Africa. And we forget that slavery still happened many years after that. But it was African Americans that were then captured by the police for minor crimes and put into work fields to work again for nothing. And then there was sharecropping. There's a whole lot, not even get into Jim Crow and public lynching and segregation and all of that, a whole lot that finally someone has to say, this is what happened. And we need to make amends, and we need to go into deep levels of forgiveness. Now, a lot of that is happening. There are dialogues of forgiveness. There are dialogues of anti-racism, dialogues that are happening around the nation. But there's still great groups of people that are slavery deniers. You know what I mean? And the ramifications of that, deniers. There has to be a great reckoning where finally we can say, this is what happened. And we want to move on And then amends must be made, so that we don't have to see on a regular basis, on a cyclical basis, just taken to the streets whenever there is some kind of oppression, knee in neck equals death kind of thing that occurs. Transformation, not just a palliative surface change. Transformation, you see, in love, in the spirit of nonviolence, in the spirit of Dr. King, in the spirit of Mohandas K. Gandhi. You see, this is what we're about. Now, so we can be America the beautiful, home of the free, you see. We can actually live that, not as an affirmation, but as an actuality, you see. This is what we're up to. We've seen it. Ooh, we've seen it. We've seen it. So we have to invest in it. We have to invest in that. Dr. King's dream, which was all of our dream. We have to invest in the affirmation of America. We have to invest in the affirmation of a world that works for the highest and best within us all. We have to invest in it according to our dharma, our skills, our gifts, our capacities. Not our capacities, because our capacities are infinite. Our skills and our talents. We have to invest in building that world. And then become urban shaman, you see, going into the other realm on a regular basis through our prayer and meditation, catching new architecture, catching vibrational healings, catching music, catching that which is not in time, but that which is out of time. I used to say about inventors, people would say that so-and-so and so-and-so was ahead of their time. No, they weren't ahead of their time. They were out of time. They weren't even in time. They captured the eternal. I dare say that's where you can live. That's why we're here. We're not here in the spiritual community saying, oh, we're going to be good and then we die, we're going to go to heaven. Poppycock! That religion's old, it's gone. It's rolled up. It's going to be in a museum one day. Those people, you can see people walking through the museum and say, Dad, Granddad, people actually believe they were going to die and then go to a place called heaven? Yeah, grandson. It was a dimension of ignorance at the time, but it was the best that humanity could do, you see. They actually believed that God was a man in the sky that had heaven and hell. Yeah, but, it's gone now. We've evolved to a higher point. That teaching will be rolled up in a scroll in a museum. The great teacher said the kingdom of heaven's at hand. Now. Expanding good is at hand now. Not just when you die. We believe. I got to stop talking. Look, we believe. We know. We're here to die daily to limitation and expand into the great participation. Oh, I see it. Listen. Listen. There's so many welcoming us into this great space. They're welcoming us into this great space. Oh, I don't have the words. Great. There's just so many. They're just welcoming us in. The door's open for us. Come on in. The great space is here. Come in. They want to come in. Come in. They want us to come in. We don't have to leave our bodies to come in. We can just come in. The door's open. The great fellowship. Here it is. The great fellowship. Here it is. Do not be fooled by people who have said they don't see the evidence of humanity's divinity. They are dimensionally challenged. See it. Whew. And then you'll enter into the great holy fellowship of individuals who are celebrating the divine, having their love affair with God be evident without embarrassment. And then you'll walk and talk and sing and dance as if you know a secret. I know a secret. And it's hiding in plain sight. Woo-wee. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's watch this person dance and celebrate with us. Celebrate and dance with the Rev. Dance with Agape. Dance like nobody's watching. Dance, dance, dance. Caden Maxwell is dancing with the Rev, with Agape. Caden? Let's groove. He's at home grooving to Agape. Now he's really safe at home because he's lifting his vibration at home and getting those juices moving. Those tonic chemicals are amplifying. He's becoming younger as he's dancing right now. His immune system is saying, yeah! Kate, give Kate a little chat. Chat him up. Caden Maxwell, we love you, brother. And now it's on you. Now you get to dance. I'll tell you something, because I've been saying this for the last few weeks. It's like, you know, Marianne Lewis is the director of our music and arts. And so frequently, I'll text her or I'll get ready to call her and tell her, I want so-and-so to sing, or I want to do this. And she's already doing it. So this past week, me and Jacqueline Brown Benefield and Lee, we were talking about the song Flashlight. We were thinking about, oh yeah, we can change those lyrics, we can do that. And I never even called her or texted her. I was going to do it later, and guess what the song is? Listen. We had no physical communication, right? And Jacqueline didn't tell you, right? No, we just got it. It's like, here. You got it? Feel into it.
Everybody's got a little light under the sun.
We are the light. Brilliant. looking back at themselves. We are stars. Feel as we move into this celebrative, prayerful moment. Feel the great sense of oneness with that smile on your face like you have a great secret. Leaning into the power and the presence and the love of God, knowing that everything is working together for your good. It is my privilege and my honor to leap into the level of gratitude and give thanks for all of the power and all of the presence and all of the love. And it's become so one-pointed that the very word that I am speaking as I am in gratitude and recognizing the presence of God and connecting consciously with His presence, no separation whatsoever, that the word is spoken. Oh my God. The word is spoken for each and every one of us, that divine freedom reigns supreme. Divine health is the order of our day. Every organ and action function of our being, light, brilliant, health, well-being, wellness, strength, vitality, vigor, flexibility, all of this. We're getting the years back that the locust may have eaten. Wholeness is reigning supreme. All of our needs are met. Oh, don't be fooled by the newspapers. Lift your attention unto the hills from which cometh your help. Lift your attention unto higher consciousness which cometh your help, and see that your needs are met right now. See it, see it, see it. I'm calling it forth right now, and anything that would hinder this is dissolved into the no-thingness from which it has come, never to exist again. Feel that you're supported, not by man whose breath is in his nostrils, by the invisible presence that wants to move through you and be you. All needs met. Oh, it's what it's giving us. Giving us innovativeness. It's giving us creativity, resourcefulness, regeneration, rejuvenation. All of this is occurring right now. Feel it in your bones. Feel it. 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 Community of lovers of God and lovers of humanity all around the world. Feel connected to the presence of God and the amplification of this connection. All of these thousands of people together in prayer, embracing the entire planet. Rivers be clean, lakes be clean, oceans be clean, forests, and trees and flowers grow to your greatest capacity. All the animals and all the fishes in the sea, all the birds in the air, come on, feel the impress of the Spirit with us today. All the bees, we need you. God bless you. God bless Mother Nature. God bless each and every one of us. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it. Help them. Help them.
Thank the Spirit. I
goes, if you just have time for one prayer, let it be thank you. Find something to be grateful for right now as we continue to become more and more pure in our intention, in our awareness. We're purifying our awareness.